Americans, do you want universal healthcare? Why not? Yes. Because cancer is a bitch. I had good insurance and it still fucked me over. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to pay this off, and chances are I never will. I'm not even 30 yet. My current job is slowly driving me insane. But I can't leave because my health insurance is through them. And I can't take half the jobs I want because they either don't have it or have strings attached. If we had universal healthcare, I could take far greater economic risks without having to worry about potentially being saddled with life-altering debt from a clumsy misstep. I had a pretty well-paid job making sure the health system I worked for got reimbursed by health plans. 100,000% support universal healthcare. I have an arsenal of stories on how truly fucked up the healthcare system here is. But here's one that has stuck with me. Reviewing a high-dollar chemotherapy claim that was unpaid with my team. Ask them to pull the EOB explanation of benefits that essentially outlines how the health plan paid what they did or why they didn't pay. The health plan had marked the entire amount, over $200,000, as patient responsibility, meaning they were telling us to bill the patient for it. I personally called my counterpart at the health plan because it seemed like a mistake. Nope. Turned out the patient exhausted their benefits, meaning they essentially ran out of coverage per the terms of their health insurance policy. This was a PPO plan the patient had through work. In other words, this patient, who is now fighting for their life and still in the middle of a cancer battle, is going to get saddled with a six-figure medical bill despite doing everything right by getting good coverage through a good job. Quite frankly, if the cancer didn't kill them, the stress of figuring out how to pay that would have. This same health plan had an insanely ritzy office and so many perks for their executives it was beyond belief, yet held non-profit status. Made me sick to my stomach. I left healthcare. Edit to add. As someone who has seen the inner workings of the financial side of healthcare in the U.S., I can say with 100% confidence that there is no good reason someone shouldn't support universal healthcare unless you own a ludicrous amount of health plan stock or at the executive level of a health plan. Please bear in mind that many countries that have universal healthcare still have private options, so you aren't entirely without choice. I had a staph infection on one of my toes. I ignored it. Until my foot was almost the size of a football. American. And half my foot was black. I couldn't afford to take time off, so I kept working when it started. I worked the night I finally asked a friend to take me to the emergency room. The only reason I decided to go was because I got extremely drunk. Like 3/4 of a 1.5-liter bottle of Sailor Jerry's drunk. I was worried about the dollar. Anyways, I got X-rayed, stuck in the magnet tube and had a bunch of tests ran. My main doc told me that I had to choose between half of my foot or half of my leg getting amputated. I chose half foot. When I woke up, I still had my foot. Something about the infection not getting into my bone. Doc also mentioned that there was evidence of maggots when he abraded the corrupted flesh off of me. I was in the hospital after that for a week. My bill was almost $200,000 United States dollars. My infant son passed away after being in the NICU for 5 days. Luckily my partner and I each had different health insurance companies, so the NICU stay was mostly covered. The total bill was $56,000 for a baby we never took home. After double coverage, we owed $3,500 out of pocket. Fuck. United States healthcare. Yes. I want my relationship with my work to just be about money. My job and health insurance should not be intertwined at all. Who is wrongly portrayed as a hero? Peter Pan. Dude cut off a guy's hand for shits and giggles and fed it to a fucking crocodile. Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk. He breaks into the giant's house, steals his treasure, then kills him when the giant tries to get his gold back. Sophie. Amanda Seyfried. In Mamma Mia. What kind of sociopathic prick invites 3 of her mother's ex-lovers to her mother's hotel on the eve of her wedding, without telling her, to try and force a situation where her real father will be revealed? Then she fucking bails on the whole wedding anyway to go traveling around the world. If I was a wedding guest having forked out thousands to get there for a non-wedding, I'd be livid. Jerry from Tom and Jerry. My mother in her own personal narrative. J. Edgar Hoover. Anything but a hero, but FBI headquarters is named after him. Hey Reddit. What would you whisper into all 8 billion people in the world's ear at once, all at the same time? 54321. If I had a heads up, I would probably email Coca-Cola and see how much they would be willing to pay for me to whisper an advertisement. Simulation ending in 48 hours. I know what you did. It's pronounced Jode. 7 days. What's the most useless thing you've ever bought? I bought these ice trays on Amazon that make tiny ice cubes. The only way I've been able to get the ice out is to slightly melt it. But since the cubes are so small, there's basically nothing left. Beanie Babies. I keep them now to remind me not to buy dumb shit. It doesn't always work. The tank of gas I bought right before someone cut me off and totaled my car. Baby changing table. Thing took up so much room. The shelves were nice, but utterly useless. A couch that was 10 feet long before I found out my apartment doesn't have a freight elevator. Several pairs of uncomfortable shoes that I never wear and are taking up space in my closet. What is stopping the U.S. from seeing marijuana reform at the federal level this year, since it's wildly popular in both political parties and amongst independents? I actually think we will see federally legal marijuana sooner than most people think. A lot of people still don't know Congress made Delta-8 THC federally legal not too long ago. It's not as strong as Delta-9 THC, most common THC, but it feels like a mix of CBD and THC. I would say in total it's probably half the high you get from Delta-9 THC. It's a big step in the right direction considering how many states have strict weed laws, and this is at least a federally legal alternative. The place I order from has a list of legal states and you can see it's legal in most states. https www.recreational8.com/is-delta-8-THC-legal/ and Texas just voted to keep it legal. I really wouldn't be surprised if this is the first step and all THC becomes federally legal in another year or so. The elderly that run our government. Prescription drug lobby money. Same reason stem cell therapy is barely legal for 1 to 2 things. Cheap fixes aren't profitable. Tobacco and private prison lobbyists. Both industries will lose big if pot is made legal. Once Marlboro is set up to move into the pot business, you'll see legalization pass through the government faster than Taco Bell through a drunk on a 3-day bender. The corporate private prison system and the politicians it owns on all levels. On a basic level, it comes down to passing the Senate. In 2019, the House passed a bill that would have removed federal criminal penalties for marijuana, with near unanimous support from Democrats. 222 out of 232 voting yes, and near unanimous dissent from Republicans. 5 out of 197 voting yes. https www.govtrack.us/congress/116-2020/H235. But while the House requires only a majority of votes to change the law, the Senate requires 60 out of 100 to pass new legislation due to the filibuster. Right now, the Senate is split 50-50. On top of that, there are 2 Democratic senators who oppose legalizing weed, and another 3 that are on the fence. Senate Republicans would overwhelmingly oppose passing the bill, not just because they disagree with it, but because their strategy for over a decade has been to block almost everything the Democrats try to do. https www.politico.com/news/2021/04/Senate-Democrats-weed-Schumer-4834747. Polls say that 70% of Americans support legalizing weed. So why is there a discrepancy between what the people want and what Republican lawmakers want? Partly, it comes down to who votes. Young people tend to vote less often, and old people tend to vote more often. Young people are more likely to support legalizing weed than old people. For example, 70% of people in their teens and 20s support legal weed, while only 53% of people from 65 to 74 and only 32% of people 75 plus support legal weed. https www.pew-research.org/fact-tank/2021/04/16/Americans-over-whelmingly-say-may-legal-fo are recreational or medical use. Meanwhile, only about 50% of people in their teens and 20s voted in 2020, while over 70% of people 65 and older voted. This discrepancy becomes even more stark in non-presidential years. https www.brookings.edu/research/turnout-in-2020-spiked-among-both-Democratic-and-Republican-voting-grow. PS New census data shows. Second, Republicans are worried about losing their primaries. Primary votes tend to be more partisan, and hyperpartisan Republicans are more likely to oppose legal weed. Only 39% of self-identified, conservative, Republican-leaning voters support legal weed, while 60% of moderate, Republican-leaning voters support legal weed. https www.pew-research.org/fact-tank/2021/04/16/Americans-over-whelmingly-say-may-legal-fo are recreational or medical use. Third, the way Senate and House seats are apportioned is biased in favor of Republicans. Each state gets 2 senators regardless of size, and poorly populated states are more likely to be conservative, giving Republicans a disproportionate number of seats. House seats are also biased in favor of Republicans due to extremely effective partisan gerrymandering in how the districts are drawn. Fourth, there's the question of moneyed interests. A lot of people think big tobacco, big pharma, and the prison industrial complex are using money to influence these politicians. I actually don't believe that big tobacco is a problem. Supposedly they're actually talking about pivoting towards making THC a big part of their business. https www.forbes.com/site/Dario-Sabagi/2021/08/02/cannabis-is-future-of-big-tobacco/ sh equals 4E37E43271 ed. I'm also unconvinced that Big Pharma is a huge problem at this point in the game. I don't think legalizing recreational weed on a federal level is going to eat into their profits. Weed is already widely available for medicinal purposes. Plus, the effects of smoking, eating weed are so different from person to person. Not just in the efficacy of treatment, but also in the side effects. Getting high. On top of that, the efficacy and side effects will also vary from strain to strain. It just seems like there's a ton of room for pharma to make cannabis-derived treatments more predictable and effective than what people could get from buying a bag at the dispensary. I am on board with private prisons, police unions, and prison guard unions being an impediment though. Maybe someone else has a paper trail on this. TLDR. It's conservatives and the dysfunctional structure of our democracy.
Subscribe, my brothers.